All right, we're gonna be live in a second, just testing something out. Let me grab this. Gonna be talking water in World War II. Interesting concept. Huh? "13 minutes. All right, well, we got one person here. Do. Hope everybody's doing well today. About to get started in about 10 minutes. Do a little countdown. Now. I gotta figure out a way to make that countdown longer. Maybe I have to censor myself. Got about 10 minutes to start the stream up. Talking about history of water in World War II. I know that's what you asked for. So that's where we're at. Just testing out these streams, seeing how it's working. If you got any questions before the show, I'd be happy to answer them for you. If not, it's all good. All right, all right. Here we go. Joseph Blackmer testing out this stream service called Restream. Looks pretty cool. Trying to figure out how it works and if it makes sense to do more streams and stuff. So I'm a part of this associate called Global Waterworks. It goes in line with the business I have. I cater to public works agencies in regards to their online or their in-person and mobile training, meaning if you're one of your guys is out in the field, you can't figure out how to operate a piece of equipment. That's where I step in and create your very own YouTube channel to figure out to get your guy unstuck. If you've ever been on YouTube and watched a video on how to operate a piece of equipment, that is what we create for public works agencies. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. So today we are talking about the history of water. We are talking about World War. So since part of that Association Global Waters, I want to talk about fresh water. So most play sports in life, and we grow up where it says stay hydrated. Hydrated, drink your water, your electrolytes in. And time you took a break at practice, it was probably a water bottle or a water for a hose, or at my high school, I think they had a hose to a PVC pipe, and they drilled holes in the PVC pipe, and that's how we got our water. And I think once the budget increased, you started getting the Gatorade bottle, and you start actually getting Gatorade in the Gatorade. But at practice, because I remember in college at practice, we didn't have Gatorade, we had fresh water or water. Which is interesting because game days we had Gatorade. So I get it. It's you have to add a lot more to the budget to get Gatorade on practice days. But nevertheless, we stayed hydrated. Didn't have any issues with staying hydrated and getting our water in. And then also So personal story here. I do a lot of backpacking. I do a lot of I like to go remotely into the wilderness and carry everything in. And just imagine me like a 40, 50 pound backpack on. I got my tent. I got my my sleeping pad. I got sleeping bag. I got my tools. You try to bring a camera to get some photos in. And I bring my water. I bring my provisions in. And usually it's a 3 liter Camelback. It usually has a little spout to it. You can drink from that. So sometimes I bring MREs. What an MRE is actually ties into what we're talking about today. So the MRE is a meal replacement. I forgot what the E stand for. But a meal replacement. It's like a bag and it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. All the stuff in it. It gives you calories like food, and there's actually like beef stroganoff and and chicken chow mein, meals that you would eat in your normal day-to-day life. They're in the areas, but they're freeze or else they're like sealed to where they say a year timeline on it and how it goes bad 100. So if you're getting ready for Armageddon, World War III, you want to hide in the mountains or in a basement, make sure you get some MREs to hold you over that time. But in the MREs, they usually have like a Gatorade powder, and that gives you your electrolytes. But normally you run out of water because you can only carry liters in your Camelback, and then you can bring a water bottle. But what you want to have is a water purification kit or something to purify the water. And what I normally do is I get it from my buddy Jim. He's got this water. It's like a pump, and it's like a stone, and it's a filter, and then it has like a couple of stages of filter, and then when you pump the water through it, it purifies it. And everybody knows that when you're going to get water, you always go for water that's moving. You never want to get water that's standing still. And the reason being is that moving water is somewhat being purified as it's coming down the mountain, meaning it's running through rocks, it's like running through trees and stuff, and it's just fresher because it's moving. Like anything, like that's kind of analogous to life. Like if you're standing still in life, if you're not going anywhere, you're probably getting still. Like what is the quote? Either thriving, surviving, or dying. It's one of the three. Like some people are surviving, some people are dying, some people are thriving, and I want to be on the thriving because usually within, if you're surviving, if you're just maintaining, you're really losing. You're getting behind because inflation and everybody else can catch up to you. So you want to be thriving. Anyways, so water moving, you want to grab the water that's in the water that's sitting. If you need to grab the water that's sitting in like a cow trough, go ahead that. But you don't want to unless that is your resort or you have a that can filter it out pretty well. Anyways, I usually find a creek or a river. And slam that I slam the head of the filter into it. I start pumping pumps directly into either a gene bottle or into my Camelback. And that's how I refill. But one cool thing that of course it didn't allow you to run out because if you can always find water, you will always have fresh water. But so I'm in southern Utah, and I'm backpacking in this place called Coyote Gulch. It's one of those canyons where the walls are like 80 feet high. You're literally winding through this little snaky. It starts off as like a wash, and then you see a little stream, and then the stream starts to grow, and the more you get closer to the big river, it turns into an actual like rushing river of water, which is pretty cool. You like can't stand in that part. At first, like walking in the water is cool, there's quicksand and stuff, but then you get to the part where it's a lot more water. You can't walk in it, but it's all that you do have water. But what was interesting was it was going to start to rain in that area. There's flash floods, meaning like all of a sudden there's going to be a lot more water than you were expected for, and you get washed away. Most of the time doesn't end well for you. Go on YouTube and type in like flash floods in Zion or the Narrows or even in a gulch. Just type in flash, and you'll see how it works. Like it can happen pretty quick. You think I think I'm an athlete, I can get out of this situation, but you got a backpack on you, you got a whole bunch of water, and the walls aren't meant for climbing. It get a little sketchy. So, anyways, the last day I was there, I was just trying to get out, and it was getting hot. I mean, and this is southern Utah, the desert. And it was starting to get hot out of there. And I had plenty of water, which is interesting, plenty of water. But what I didn't really prep. I was going to fast. I kind of do that away and fast. Just get away from humans because you don't see humans in areas, which is great. I mean, I advise that everybody should spend some time in solitude. But I didn't bring food, so I knew I was only going to be a couple nights, and I fast 48, 78, 72 hours, no big deal. But one thing I didn't account for the electrolytes. So literally, I'm coming out. I feel good. I get lost. I mean, it usually happens every time. I get lost. I know which general direction I need to go, but I get off the path that I took coming in, and it added probably 2 hours to the walk, to the hike out to the car. And it's interesting. My body started doing weird stuff. I got to the point where, I mean, I could feel in my skin that I had less and less of electrolytes. I felt weaker. My eyes were starting to get a little blurry, and I'm like, oh, shoot, this is new. This is crazy. And it's just me. Like, there's nobody else out there. Like, literally, if I laid down and didn't move, like, nobody would ever find me. So I finally make it to the road, and I mean, I literally had to drop my back just to walk up to my car, and then like drive back and go get it because it was that serious. And then I remember when I was driving out, I had to throw up, and I'm thinking like, what am I throwing up? All I got is water in me, and I threw up, and it was just a whole bunch of water. And I get back to I get to the gas station, I get some electrolyte. I knew I was electrolyte deficient because whenever salt hits your taste buds and you're lacking salt or sodium, potassium, it like shoots pains through them. Like it hurts. I don't know why, but it hurts. I don't know if it's because your body's trying to like really find it, and all of a sudden you get to an overload. But it really hurt. And I got to the point where I get to the hotel, get the electrolytes in. And then I start to feel it, and I start to Google it, and I'm like, oh shoot, I had water, but I didn't have electrolytes. So that's where I thought, okay, next time I need to bring some electrolyte that might be in the MRE, or at least bring a couple of granolas, and don't fast. It's okay to fast. Like, I'm a huge proponent of fasting, but don't fast if you're going to be burning a lot, because it was I was moving, all sweat, losing all the salts because your body sweats more water. Anyways, that was a little story. Me always bring electrolytes for hikes. Hydration is one thing. I had plenty of water, like I said, but electrolytes another thing. But we're talking about war today. So imagine, I mean, I have 50 pounds on my back. These soldiers have the same thing, and they're walking literally from the beaches of Normandy all the way through France. Like, they're on foot. Yes, there's trains and stuff, but most of these guys are on foot. They're fighting. They're carrying a whole bunch of stuff, and these guys need water. And most of us know that, like if you don't get, it's 10 times, but it's harder to find. And imagine like these war, like a city was bombed already. All that infrastructure is gone. Like, public works department, they're gone. They're out of town. They're not trying to make sure the water is purified and safe for you. They're trying to get out of there. And this is early 1940s, so technology wasn't really there, and I'll kind of get into that. But yeah, trying to find water is different than bringing water with you. And yes, I'll talk a little bit about how much a ship could bring with the soldier for the soldiers. But again, soldiers go through a lot more water than what we'll think. And I'll show you this graph or this kind of list of stuff I found on the internet. So as you can see, potable water usage by troops in combat was estimated by the military on a per day basis as follows. So drinking water is what drinking. That's 5 gallons a day. I don't think I drink 5 gallons a day. But again, these troops are in combat. They're fighting, they're running, they're dodging bullets or bombs. Like, it's crazy. Of course, you're gonna take more. 2.7. Say that's for like brush your teeth. That's probably for wash face. Still a lot, I think. But again, you're in combat. Essential hours. You're probably taking a super quick shower. I mean, if you get a shower, I'm sure there's plenty of war where it's like, okay, there's 2 weeks you haven't taken a shower, but everybody smells the same, so no big deal. Food prep. So food prep is a big one. most stuff you're cooking probably needs a little bit of water, either to rinse off the food, make it suitable to cook, or even while you're cooking it. Vehicles, this one threw me a loop. I mean, what are you washing the Jeeps? I mean, I don't know what they mean by vehicles. 3 gallons of water a day, but the vehicles do need water, like radiators and stuff like that. So 3 gallons a day. Heat treatment, ice. Yeah, probably gets hot out there. You want to cool your core temperature down. You want to get some ice. Hospitals. So we all know once you go to the hospital, you probably lost blood, and blood is made up most water, or plasma is mostly of water. So yeah, to get your blood back going, that's up 65 gallons per bed per day. I'm guessing that there's multiple guys a bed a day, and that's why the number is so high there. Laundry, 6 pounds per man per week, 6 pounds per man per week. I remember there was an article I came across. They talked about doing laundry in the army, in World War II. So trench warfare. I mean, so the fleas were everywhere. I mean, fleas and lice were everywhere. There were everybody's clothes. So it's like you would leave the trenches and go out, like do your little wash clothes, maybe get a shower. And the fleas will leave, but they will be back as soon as you got back to the trenches. And it was one of those things that your guys tell a story about. At first they would try to swat all the fleas in the lice, try to swat them. They try to get them, and we get to the point where it's just many of them, and you stop caring about getting bit so much. You stop caring about it. Crazy. Like I never had a problem. I never had a flea problem. We just had indoor plants, and that leaves gnats. If you remember, gnats are like fruit flies in certain trees. And yeah, they suck because they just get every bite or do anything crazy, but they're just everywhere. Let's see, where did that go? So yeah, you want to wash your clothes, get all the lice and fleas out. A construction, I mean, everybody knows water is a lubricant in most construction, or something to settle the dust. So you need 1.5 gallons a day. So total use 20 gallons of water per day per man. 20 gallons of water per day. And, I mean, this is semi-fresh water. I mean, I would say water for your truck isn't the same that you would drink, but this is what you would need in regards to water. So if you're in a place where you can't find water, it's terrible. Let's see. So I want to get into first of just the base way most guys got the water. So we're talking about the canteen. So in Italian, it's cantina. In French, it went to canteen, and then it ended up making sense as canteens. So these guys would carry these with them pretty much everywhere they went. Most canteens can probably carry a liter or two, if that. I mean, if that, like that, that's on the high end. But you'd be surprised how long the body can go with water. What's the rule of three? You can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air. You can go a lot longer without water than 3 days. Probably like 6 to 8, 10. Don't test me on it. But I think you can go longer than 3 weeks without food. But it's a great rule of three. 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air. I can't hold my breath that long. Some people can, but yeah, 3 minutes is a good rule of thumb. So yeah, these guys use the water on them, and then also I want to show you it is. So this here is called a litter bag. It's interesting. It looks like a canvas bag, like one of those military duffel bags. It's full of water, and this is how the guys got their water. I mean, these were literally either shipped in, or they were filled on the spot by certain wells or ways that they were able to find fresh water at the location where they're at. Yeah. Let's go back to origin of the canteen. So I found this quote, in quote, hunter-gatherers in the Kalahari used ostrich shells as water containers, puncturing a hole in them to enable them to be used as canteens. The presence of such eggshells dating from the Howleson port period of the Middle Age or the Middle Stone Age at Deep Buff Rock Shelter in South Africa suggests canteens were used by humans as early as 60,000 years ago. So 60,000 years ago, granted, I'm a creationist, so that number can be a little bit off, but a long time ago, humans were trying to figure out how to keep water. I mean, again, you get out of your mother, you're like, yo, I need some water, I need some liquid. So everybody tried to figure out how to water, and it says 60,000 years ago they were making canteens out of eggshells. Ostrich eggshell. I don't know how durable an ostrich eggshell is, but it's probably. It seems like it's pretty durable. So, okay. So, according to National Geographic magazine in November 1940 article, the article's called "The Fighting Shopkeeper." Water was extremely vital. Fighting and drink up to 3 days. That makes sense. About today, they're going to drink, and they might need a water stuff and that. So I wanted to go to this next slide and show you kind of the setup. See better. I'll kind of make it. So as you can see here, this is kind of like a water trough that goes through. And then these are your water purification tanks. So these are what carry the water, and then there's pumps, and then there's filters on the back end there. So these are literally like the water treatment you probably see in your city. These are literally on location, and how it used to work would be, so your combat engineers. In World War II, combat engineers, and they changed throughout the years, like for Vietnam and the Korean War, they changed. But what they would do, they would go ahead, set up these, there would be two combat engineer convoys. So one would go ahead of all the troops, set up these shops of the water treatment, scour for water. Sometimes they could find wells. Sometimes they couldn't. Sometimes it'd be like a creek or fresh water, or like a stream or a river they can get the water from. Sometimes not. So depending on how they needed the water, that's where they would set it up. And then there'd be the rest of the combat engines behind. It'd be like 2 up front and 1 behind. And then when it's time to move, the one behind will pack it up and leapfrog the other ones. So they'll all be either ahead and behind the combat, just so they can run both sides, and then they will leapfrog each other, as the not the company, but as the troops advance. And I'll quote: first step in activating a point was to locate stream, well pond, or spring. In some cases, a source enhanced by explosive. So it just is, boom, you see a divot in the ground, start to see water, start to see more water. Oh shoot, we actually tap a well, which is pretty cool. This is a source was enhanced explosives, creating a crater, resulting in a water source called a sump, from which the water will be pumped. Everybody knows what a sump pump is. I didn't know that's where sump was derived from, but now we know that's where the sump pump was derived from. The next step was to test for potability, turbidity, and poisons. An engineer water specialist carried tests for this evaluation. So this right here, this is where it gets a little squirrely at. So that was one way in the centuries before, a great way to ruin or to change the tide of a battle, of a war, just by messing with the water, because you know that every infantry that comes to your country is going to have to cross a river. They're going to see the line that you normally farm to. They're going to see the cows on the hillsides that it's your country. You know where everything's at. So to make it hard on them, what you would do is you would poison it. You would make it so they couldn't tap into those natural resources. You would either kill all the cattle and burn them so they couldn't get to fuel themselves in their advance, or you put stuff in the water, like either feces from cattle or humans. Just so when people drink it, they get sick in their. I mean, you can't if you're on the death just because you drank some water that had human feces in it, and now you're hallucinating. I mean, that's a great way to negate a couple 100,000 soldiers by by them wanting you to use your water poison. So that is one thing that they learned. They said, "Hey, we test every source of water we're going to run into because we know what the enemy did to it. We're coming from America. We Normandy. We're across these beaches. We're coming to France. We're like the Germans are here." Now what? Okay, we don't know what they did to the water. So the combat engineers it'll be an engineer water specialist. He would carry test tubes for this evaluation. And now I want to show you. So a quote that I found. Let's see. So this guy right here is down on the websites I found. This guy is Harold Meyer. They were both in World War II in France. I forgot. I think it was 1942 of when this quote comes from. And I quote, Don is saying, he's saying, we're in the Carrington area in late July when some of us, include Harold Meyer, myself were selected to assist the water section to make a move. We reported to the water section, likely Sergeant Ross, who explained that we needed to help drain all of the portable canvas tanks and load them and other equipment and supplies on trucks. And Ross, we then would go with them to a new site where we would assist in setting up at the new location. Sergeant Ross saw the tiny stream that was to supply the battalion with water. He just shook his head in disbelief. The water was too shallow to pump from it. Harold Meyer told him not to worry. At a couple blocks, TNT could take care of that problem. So one man, Harold says, Harold put together his explosive arms in the detonator. So we heard Harold yell, fire in the hole. This was followed by a loud explosion with water and mud in all directions. After a bit, the full water carried all the mud off. A 6x6 crater to the delight of Sergeant Ross, who quickly dropped suction hose into the stream. Prime pump started the engine and began pumping into the first canvas tank. The water was sedimentation and filtration the first tank. The treatment by chlorine in the second tank, and then to the third tank where potable water would soon be ready to be doled out to those needing water. With the mission accomplished, we loaded up our truck and returned to our company ahead of the battalion bivouac to join our assigned squad, platoon company to wait our next mission. These guys were literally out there. I mean, look at these guys. They're kids, like 20 years old, look like. And so they come across this small stream and they're like, shoot, this isn't going to be enough to feed 2,000 guys. But Harold like, hey, no, we'll figure this out. Boom, blows it up, and all of a sudden he sees a whole bunch more water, which I think is pretty cool. And this truck right here is called the ERD later. I'm going to talk about that for a second. So the systems used for World War I were again used in World War II. They included sand filtration and chlorination. Like I said before, in that water filter that I have when I go back, you pump the water through a pumping stone, and it goes through a whole bunch of little fine rocks and dirt, or fine rocks. That pulls out most sediments, and there's like another stage filter that pulls out more sediments. But what they did was they would use sand filtration, meaning shoving the water really hard through sand, and chlorination. Chlorination kills all the bacteria and stuff, and then you can't really taste it a certain amount. So they included sand filtration and chlorination for most of the European campaign, World War II. The new ERD system was used. So this is the ERD later. As you can see, it kind of looks like your water if whatever you drive in your town or in your city. So the device was into the field advanced type body mobile unit, and vitally important to the operational effectiveness of the units under harsh conditions. Provide only the water needed for survival, but clean water for staying healthy. This passage from addition of the United States Marine Corps Engineer Battalion Industry ERD later significance. Another quote: one of the most important was the water supply platoon. This platoon operated purification plant called ergolators that could remove silt and suspended matter, filter and purify contaminated stream water, producing from 1 to 3,000 gallons, about 4,000 to 12,000 liters per day. The larger number was achieved using separate large rubberized settling tanks. One unit could adequately supply an infantry battalion under adverse conditions. The delator was a field water treatment device developed during World War II at the U.S. Army's United States Army Engineer Research and Development Laboratory in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. So that's a little bit about the ear layer. Look, it looks like it's truck with chassis on it. It's got the all this you need, and that thing's moving with you. All right, let's go to the next slide here. I thought this was a pretty cool excerpt. It's about just the Army water supply in World War II. I mean, again, this is a big deal. You got to be able to get troops what they need. I'll start running through this paragraph. At the end of the war, there were more than 1,000 water systems serving troops in the United States, and a far greater number overseas. These varied in type from modern rapid sand filters to improvised tanks and chlorinators, and in size from perhaps 500 to 5 million. The problems of building and operating these systems and continuing the quality of water they were complicated by many factors. The speed at which construction was required, the limitation. So construction, you'd be surprised. Like a lot of war is a being able to logistically get things where you need them when you need them. We know a guy can run a field with a rifle or with AR-15 or whatever the type of firearm and somebody. But how do you support that guy when it's for him to sleep? How do you support that guy for him to go to the bathroom? How do you support that guy when it's time to eat and he doesn't want to get shit? So there's things more involved than just shooting enemy. You have to be able to infrastructure to it. I mean, all the movies and whatever you watch, these trenches, like in trench warfare, was huge. These trenches, they turned into middle cities. I mean, they had like little literal street signs of like what road to turn on and like who was what. It was when they had little dugouts and little bunkers and like again, these were main thoroughfares for troops. I mean, these guys would be in these same trenches for months. I mean, literally, they had no man's land in the middle. But for months, you're just hearing shells and you're hearing shots go. But you have to stay safe where you're at. So infrastructure was huge. I mean, construction is half the, and I would say half the battle, but it's a big part of the battle. Limitations of shipping, logistics. How do you get shoelaces on the front lines? We hear about trench foot. Trench foot is where you've been standing in mud and water for days and days on end, and your feet start to swell. And once they start to once they start to crack or bleed, you get bacteria, and then boom, you'll end up losing a leg because of trench foot, not because of a shell or a firearm, but because of trench foot. You've been standing in the trench so long. And then mosquitoes, like how do you keep mosquitoes out of the sleeping quarters? These mosquitoes carry diseases that could wipe out a whole division if they had the wrong disease and they didn't have the right medicine for. So back to it, the limitations of shipping, the shortages of material, the scarcity of trained operators, and the decentralization and dispersal of authority characteristic and probably a set army. Despite all these the army had safe water. There was no epidemic of waterborne disease. In fact, our army, U.S. Army. Our army had the lowest morbidity rate that any army ever had in any war. This would not have been possible without uniform safe water. Again, I'm sure there's out there about armies having issues with water. There was I read a story about the Japanese in the Pacific Theater. They were going, I forgot what island it was. They're trying to take over an island, and they get there, and they're doing their work. They're sweeping the plane, taking out enemy soldiers. But then all of a sudden, their guys start dropping like flies when they go into these into the swamp. They started figuring out there's freshwater crocodile in there. I mean, think about it. You're trying to enemy and freshwater crocodile are taking your guys out by the 10s and 20s and 50s. And this is before they started to, it said in the article, this was before The hunting of the crocodiles was a thing. And the natives, they just never really went to the swamps because they knew you go to the swamps, you're gonna get eaten. There was thousands of crocodiles and taking out thousands and thousands of guys, and it's just like they figured out like, hey, let's not there. Let's get off this island. So you'll be surprised about how adverse situations where that can change the tide of a battle. Let's see here. More on this Lister bag, and I quote: "Soldiers during World War II still carried heavily chlorinated water in Lister bags, but made boil the water before adding the chlorine to remove any impurities." So, as you know, boiling is one of the pure or the earliest forms of water purification. I mean, what happens on cruise ships or like big submarines and stuff. They grab the seawater, boil, get the salts out, and then they blow chlorine and make it taste a little better. And then you can drink it. So to get the smell and taste of chlorine, the U.S. Army also provided a lemonade flavored powder in soldiers' rations. Many soldiers did without lemonade flavor and followed footsteps of the Revolutionary Wars and drank local wine or even champagne. I remember hearing this. It said that like it's used in Africa because of fresh water. Like Coca-Cola is a more consumed beverage than actual water. Like a bottle of Coke would say be $1, and a bottle of water would be like $6 because they know how hard it is to find water, and of course you got to count the what it is, and you can charge a premium for supply and demand. But water, I mean, like these guys were drinking cider wine, or even champagne, just to avoid having to taste the water. But with the wine, with the cider, with the champagne, you are getting your water. It just tastes a lot better. And that lemonade flavored powder, I'd be eager to taste what that tastes like. Pre and post putting the lemonade in the water. I'm sure it had an interesting taste to it if you're opting for local cider, wine, or champagne. Okay, so life on submarines. We all know submarines were instrumental in World War II. I just wanted to touch on what it was like on the submarine. About a year, 3 months on like away from your dock or wherever you're at. So, and I quote: "In World War II, order rig the ship for sea came over the loudspeaker. It meant 70 to 80 days of confinement and excitement, but also an extreme curtailment of the comforts of everyday life for officers and crew. Water had the highest priority. Making fresh water from seawater meant running it through a condenser situating on the lower flat engine room. This process used electricity that was being generated by auxiliary engine, which needed pressure to operate. As a result, we only had one shower a week, but even that was cut. When loading the sea, every available space was used for storing food and water and whatever was necessary for the long stage. The chief always found the crew shower good places to store his potatoes. Most of the crew liked potatoes, so no one really minded. So, would you rather eat potatoes or take a shower? We would only walk around smelling right for a few weeks until the potatoes were eaten, and then we could get back to cleaning up. The engine room crew responsible for the fresh water were the conservative users of it and watched other crew members with a wet eye at all times. One quart of water a day was allowed for each sailor to do it as he pleased. So we saw in that other stat that was it 3 quarts of water is what people drank, but on submarines, I'm guaranteed you're not like a lot of marching, hiking on submarines. So you're burning less calories. I mean, you're not losing that much water. So that's probably why you can scale back your water a little bit. But imagine you're on a submarine, it's X amount of guys on there, for X amount of days, and you got X amount of water to work with. For food prep, for shaving, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, all that. So you could tell some guys are more mindful of others on it. And then this is kind of what I want to touch on last. So we're talking about water, food, and all that. And like I talked about trench warfare earlier, they would train they would train animals to do some hunting for them. water was scarce. Imagine how excited your Padres will be if they had to be ones to bring you guys a whole bunch of fresh water and food. So not many people were up for that. And I quote: "Crowded, unsanitary conditions trenches led to infestations of rats and other vermin, attractive food waste, and the proximity of dead bodies. Some soldiers took cats and dogs to hunt them. So these guys were little cats and dogs to hunt the vermin, just because there was so much around. I wanted to share that. Get out of this. So again, circle back to water. Water is one of those things. You need air 3 minutes, water every 3 days, food every 3 weeks. So water was instrumental in war, even Pacific Theater. I mean, you think these guys are fighting on islands, these guys are in the water, like it's great seawater. Unless you have a systemized way of purifying that and getting that ready to consume, it doesn't really make sense for you. I didn't want to take too much more time. Hopefully everything worked well stream. Hopefully you guys can hear me and I'm not just talking to nothing. But if there's any other question, I'll be happy to answer them for you. Other than that, for watching my quick stream on presentations. So we will